This is video number 3 for sections 3.1 and 3.2, the method of substitution. This is the first of the two algebra methods for solving systems of equations. Remember, a system just means two equations linked together in some way. The solution is simply that special xy pair that satisfies both equations. We already figured out how to do this using the graphing method, and now we'll use algebra, specifically the method of substitution. I've given you over here a list of steps to follow. I'll go ahead and walk you through those steps as we demonstrate on this example. There is a preliminary step listed there. It says clear the fractions. That's really what you want to do at the start of these problems. If you see fractions, you want to clear them out. It looks like for me my first equation here is just fine, but the second equation does have a fraction. In order to clear it, I would just need to multiply both sides by the LCD, which appears to be 4. And that's going to become then x plus 12y equals 4, right? I need to multiply each of those three terms that were there by the number 4. All right, so now we'll focus on the original equation here and this new equation where we've cleared the fractions. Step 1 in our list says isolate one variable in one of the equations. Now, this is really important. You essentially have four choices. You have this x, you have this y, or you have this x, or this y. You can pick any of the four. You just want to pick the one where you think the work would be the easiest. In this case, there is a clear choice, and it would be the second x here. That's because it's the only one of the four that doesn't have a coefficient. It'll be very easy to isolate it, to get it by itself. If I were to choose any of the other three options, I think I'm going to end up with some fairly messy fractions. Sometimes that's unavoidable, but if I can avoid it, then that's certainly what I'm going to do. So we'll go ahead and isolate that x by subtracting 12y on both sides. And that equation now becomes x equals 4 minus 12y. Step 2 says now you're going to take that and you're going to substitute it into the other equation. Now that word other is very important there. You have to now take the expression you just got, you have to go to the other equation, the one you hadn't used yet, and you're going to make a substitution. The idea is we just came up with a new name for the letter x. X is completely interchangeable with 4 minus 12y. So take that first equation, recopy it, but when you get to the letter x, fill in 4 minus 12y. Notice that the equation still says 3x equals 2y minus 7. It's just that in place of the letter x, I made that substitution. Now the great thing about this equation now is it only has one letter in it. That means it's something I can solve. Step 3 in our list of steps says now go ahead and solve that resulting equation just doing simple algebra. Looks like the first thing I need to do is some distributing. Let's go ahead and do that. And then I need to start moving the terms to the right locations. So I'll subtract 2y from each side so as to get the y's on the left. And I'll subtract 12 from each side so that the numbers end up on the right. And it looks like after I do that, I end up with negative 38y equals negative 19. Finally, divide both sides by negative 38. And I've solved for y. It looks a little messy over there on the right side, but two things happen. A negative divided by a negative is a positive, so the negatives go out. And then 19 goes into 38 evenly, so I can reduce that fraction. 19 goes in twice. So when I reduce, I end up simply with positive 1/2. Now, sometimes it's tempting to stop there, feel like you're done. You're not done. Remember, the goal is to find an ordered pair, an XY pair that satisfies both equations. Back to our list of steps. Step 4 says, now that we have half of our answer, we know the y part of our answer is 1/2. Now that we have that, we go back and substitute that in so as to figure out the x. Now this is easier than what we did before. All we have to do is go back up to that original substitution equation, this one right here, and fill in the y value that we just got. After all, this equation says, hey, if you want to know x, it's simply 4 minus 12 times y. We're going to go ahead and fill in y equals 1/2. So I fill it in, and then I just need to work out the math. Looks like it might be helpful to write that 12 as 12 over 1. I can see that 2 goes into 12 6 times. That leaves me then with x equals 4 minus 6. In other words, x equals -2. Step 5 in the list of steps says, don't forget to give your final answer as an ordered pair. Let's give ourselves a little bit of room here. We got an x value of -2, we got a y value of 1/2, and so our final answer written as an ordered pair would be -2, 1/2. There is an optional step listed last. It says, as an option, you could then go on to check your answer. This would be a great idea on a test, for example. You would simply have to go back to your original equations, and you would, in each of the original equations, simply fill in x equals -2 and y equals 1/2, crank out the math, and make sure you get true statements in each case.